A pleasure to meet y'all at last, and welcome back to some more Survival of No Limits. And so, I've been through 5 different topics relating to life stories of mine that are all true, all compelling, all coherent, and all informative at all times. But now's the time where we get on to a 6th situation in my life. One that of course goes back way further than the likes of the majority of the other events that I've already talked about. June 2009. A time where I had turned 10 years old, was also the time where I had a pretty bad accident. It was also one of the biggest accidents I might have ever had in a playground setting. Shady Lane Elementary School was of course the faculty that I had been to during my elementary school years, and was also the point in time where I had a lot of things to work out with myself and many others whom I had socialized with. But before a lot of stuff happened there, June 2009 was the time where I had accidentally lost my grip on one of the parts of the playground itself that was situated at least 10 feet high. And after falling off of that, I landed flat on my own spine, and man, I could not even move for several minutes. I mean, the spine itself is responsible for having a lot of movement towards lower extremities and other portions of the body, but I literally damaged my spinal column just from that one fall. Even though I was a lot younger in 2009, a 10-year-old me who probably would have had more durable bones because of how soft and pliable they are compared to how I am now, I would most likely have them broken if I were to go through a similar fall like that. Definitely broken, because they're a lot more harder and a lot more easier to break. So at this point in time, I couldn't really do much about that. I had to just go through that whole entire process of trying to get my back healed up from all this for a whole month. I could not even bend forward. Even the slightest amount would cause it to hurt a lot. But then of course there came a time where eventually a similar incident to that would happen. 6 months later, December 2009, after we were supposed to take off for a few days, apparently, after the school day was over, we once again went out to a playground themed setting around the building itself. But this time, I was a little bit higher than that. And let me just go ahead and rephrase the fact that this stuff is all real. Not even the slightest bit of fakery here. So, but of course I will go ahead and say that unlike the last time where I had accidentally lost my grip onto something, this time somebody had intentionally shoved me outside of the spiraling slide itself that they had there at the time. It was a slightly higher fall than last time, but unlike last time where I could barely even move, this time it was even worse. I landed flat on my spine again, right onto very, very hard, thick pieces of ice situated down below. I was screaming in pain for a whole minute at the time because it was extremely painful there. So essentially speaking, I had nearly destroyed my spine twice in the same year. And if you think that that's crazy, then well, there's really a lot of other things that are even worse than all this. Just think about the fact that this shirt and this cap signify an entire tangent that I've been through relating to different stories in my whole lifetime that are all true and without even the slightest sense of jokes. Because I'm a guy who just wants to let everybody know that honesty is the best policy, just like what David Nutten Wright there had said before I went ahead to create Honest Jane Nowak. But here with Survival of No Limits, this is in fact the part of my life that I could have possibly ended up paraplegic or even quadriplegic if I was unlucky enough. So at this point in time, let's just take in every single ounce of this whole entire thing that I had at the time and just acknowledge that I had these things in my life. I sustained 2 injuries to my spinal column just like that. One was obviously worse than the other, but both times over, neither of which were pleasant by any means. And so at this point in time, this is basically just me talking to a camera. But in the end, I'm sincerely hoping anybody out there does just understand the fact that I've had these things in my life. And I do not, in fact, want to cause any kind of panic or any kind of, well, disruption to the community these days, but this is just a point in time where I really need to explain these kind of stuff to people of all sorts. And even though I've talked about it with a lot of people out there, there's hardly ever been a time where I've talked about these things in detail, in full retrospective, and in full view and position ever in my life. This is probably the first time that I've ever had the chance to talk about these things completely full and in detail as much as possible. So that's just pretty much what that is. But yet, let's just understand the fact that there is still one more subject that I'm willing to talk about right here. But if you want to see that, and if you want to see more go down on my channel, then make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side.